Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Films and Stuff podcast. I'm Ethan, joined, as always, by the MVP, Most Valuable Pete. Hey, Pete, what's up today?
Not much, buddy. How are you?
I'm super because it's Saturday. You know what Saturdays mean. Stream or skip segment. So we've got a pretty good system, which is I introduce stream or skip, and then Pete, you take it away and you remind all the viewers who should know by now, because it's been 150, but we've got some new listeners tuning in. What is stream or skip all about?
All right. So Ethan and I have prepared lists of TV shows for each other to watch. Every week, we randomly assign each other one of those shows. If it's a series, we watch at least 2 episodes or 30 minutes if it's a feature-length program. And on that basis, we determine if that show is worthy of being streamed or skipped.
Last week, I dominated because I got to watch Season 2 of Beef on Netflix, which I gave a must-subscribe. This week, I was assigned something on Amazon Prime called Malice. David Duchovny. Yeah, it's been a while since actually I've had a David Duchovny show.
Anything. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, anything, really. It is described as a psychological thriller, and it stars David Duchovny and Jack Whitehall. Jack Whitehall, to me, is a big name, but I was having trouble really placing him in anything that I've really watched, but I definitely recognize the name, and I definitely recognize the actor.
Yeah, he's a British comedian.
Yeah, and he's got a very distinct look as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't want to say creepy look, but he plays kind of a creepy guy in the show, and his look is really good for that, and that's some type of compliment that probably doesn't sound like a compliment, but in any case. What is it all about? David Duchovny is, I guess, some type of very wealthy entrepreneur type, a wife and 2 kids, and he hires Jack Whitehall's character, named Adam Healy, to be a nanny. It's not really a nanny like an au pair. It's more of just kind of like I'd call it like more of like an events coordinator for kids. Yeah, like he's not necessarily doing like cooking and cleaning and stuff. He's more like, hey, like I'll take you to practice, or I'll help you swim, or I'll entertain you like with some beach games today kind of stuff, right? So he travels with Duchovny and his family, and they're like on a boat, and then they stop off at Greece or Mykonos or something, and he's like always kind of managing the kids, and he's more of like a consigliere for the family, like help us with this dinner reservation, or get us organized here, set us up for this picnic over there. In any case, we're not entirely sure why, although there's going to be some spoiler alerts perhaps. But Jack Whitehall's character is always a little bit sneaky, like from day one, right? Or from episode 1. It starts a little bit slow, and he does kind of like very innocent things at first, which is he makes like some aside comments. He's kind of snooping through closets. You know, we'll ask someone to taste something, but before he did that, like he'll spike it with like red pepper or something, so it's intentionally disgusting. You know, he shows off kind of like an aggressive side towards animals. You know, it's I wouldn't say a slow burn. It happens kind of fast because it happens right away in the first episode and the second episode. So it's a fast burn. But you see that he's got kind of like this sinister, like evil side, right?
Okay.
But at the same time, he kind of like is really good at cozying up to everybody. Like he's very manipulative. He's like everyone's best friend. You know, he's drinking buddies with David Duchovny. And then he's the confidant for David Duchovny's wife. And then he's really good, you know, with David Duchovny's son and like understands him. And he's really good with a daughter. She confides in him. Like, he kind of like is manipulative and like close to everybody, but then drives wedges between everybody and everybody else, right?
So he's kind of like Littlefinger from Game of Thrones?
Oh, that's a really good one, yeah.
Okay.
Really, so he's you can see this as an audience member who sees all of his different interactions, relationships, like something's wrong with this guy. He's either just like a jerk and he's trying to be manipulative, or he's got like some bigger game involved. And you see this through the first episode, second episode, start of the third episode, where he's just driving wedges between everybody. Just a lot of manipulation within the family. It's kind of boring, to be honest. There's not a lot of excitement in just kind of like watching, I think, all these little like manipulations. Obviously, this is driving towards, some type of like big blow up. There is definitely a big kind of blow up at the end, which I guess I won't reveal just, to avoid unnecessarily spoilers. But there's something that's unexplained, although maybe it will be explained in later episodes. My guess is that somehow David Duchovny's character has wronged someone who's very close to Jack Whitehall's character.
Okay.
Either Duchovny had a business deal with his dad, or impregnated his mom, or hit and run, on his brother or wife, or somehow Jack Whitehall's character, I feel like, has been wronged. So he's deliberately gone out and, applied to become this nanny consigliere type character with the sole intention of just kind of ruining David Duchovny's life in return. That's where I'm getting from this. It doesn't seem like he's just a jerk for the sake of being a jerk. It doesn't seem like he's trying to steal money and he's a thief. It seems like there's going to be a flashback and somehow we're going to see how they're connected. And unbeknownst to David Duchovny, this guy's character was related to someone else that David Duchovny screwed over in life, and now this is just kind of like a revenge type thing, and it's going to turn into a Malice type situation where he's going to take everyone hostage or prisoner or something like this. Mm-hmm. So from a plot perspective, that's something, but I have to say the first 2.5 episodes, I just found it really petty and boring. It was just more these little gossipy issues, saying these snide little comments to make his wife jealous, or saying this thing to get him thinking his wife is cheating on him, or doing this thing so the son is mad at the dad, or doing this thing so that, this person tastes some disgusting food, or it was just really small and petty, and it wasn't really going anywhere. I don't think it's a skip, but I definitely gave it a mooch. It just didn't really do anything for me. Kind of like Duchovny's character, and it's nice to see him on screen. Production quality is high, but again, it just didn't really move the needle for me. It's kind of again, one of those shows you put on in the background. You can plow through your email, you can read another article, you can be cooking or slicing onions or whatever you do in your spare time. You don't need to be giving this 100% of your attention. You're not going to miss anything. You don't need to see the screen. You can just listen to what they're saying. Vice versa. you know what I mean? I mean, it's when
almost
when
like a podcast.
Yeah, it's almost like a pod. I'm just saying, you could be focused on doing something else and just kind of listening to the conversation in the background. When it's two people standing, in a kitchen talking about something, it's not like you're, I've got to watch it, right? You can just kind of listen and get the gist of what's going on. So
right.
That is Malice. Amazon Prime. I think we're still looking for something really, really compelling on Amazon Prime. Citadel, maybe, season 2.
That's out, and that's not looking... I mean, I don't know. I was out of Citadel. I just thought... Anyway, that's another discussion, but I feel like the problem is that with Citadel, neither of the main characters were compelling or had the chemistry. It had such great potential to be this awesome multi-platform TV series. And it could have been multimedia as well, right? They could have done comics, they could have done a movie, they could have done something else. Yeah. But they kind of fumbled the bag, and I think they fumbled the bag really with Priyanka Chopra and Richard Madden.
It's true that I don't think we liked anything about Citadel season 1, but the 2 spin-offs, I don't think we had an issue with the Honey Bunny, the Indian one, and I don't think we had an issue with the Italian one.
So I never saw Citadel Diana, the Italian one. I saw, funnily enough, Citadel Honey Bunny as a streamer skip segment, and you went ahead based on my review and saw the whole thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was much stronger. I thought that was a much better show. And again, it had a lot to do with the fact that the main characters were much more likable.
Relatable.
And had a much better chemistry with each other. And we're just like, the show was done better.
Yeah.
Whereas, and I would assume that's the same for Diana.
Yeah, I mean, Diana and Honey Bunny were definitely better. But my one general complaint about that overall, what would I call it, like franchise now, is that they portray these agents as like kind of these super soldiers. You know, like they never lose a hand fight, and they never they always see everything before someone else, and their reflexes are so good, and they know how to operate a car better than anyone else, and a motorcycle better than anyone else, and pick a lock, and hack into a computer, and they can go into a room with just a small hand pistol and take out all the armed guards. Like, I feel like it's a very... Like, it's not the gritty kind of James Bond where, you know, he gets bloodied and he's, you know...
Yeah, it's not the current James Bond. It's the old-fashioned James Bond, right? The Roger Moore and the Sean Connery James Bond, where he does, like, a fake karate chop and the guy goes down.
Yeah. Like I said, Honey Bunny and Diana are way better than the first season of Citadel, but that's the overall way that I feel like the Citadel agents are portrayed, is just kind of like these super... chic.
And they could have written that into the show, to be honest. If they already have this memory-altering DNA injection, they could do another one where they have an injection which has the memory DNAs of all other past agents that are extra special at these things. And by injecting them, it alters their DNA so that they become like super soldiers. Yeah. Look, I know that this is me trying to fix a car wreck after it's already happened, but
you can't untangle it. You can't unmangle it.
I mean,
oh
well.
I know. All right. So anyway, that was streamer skip and us going on a tangent related to it. I digress. What were you assigned this week?
I was assigned a show on Netflix called Parish. Parish is a limited series. I believe it was based on a British TV show. Stars Giancarlo Esposito,
who we both love, by the way.
Fantastic guy. It's set in New Orleans. Giancarlo Esposito owns a car service, like a limousine service. Surprise, surprise, he used to be a gangster and like a criminal, like thief, mastermind driver, getaway driver. He went straight and he opens this car service. And
he used to be baby driver? He used to be baby driver.
He's like the geriatric baby driver.
Yeah.
And he... Obviously, the business is not doing well because the show dictates that. Yeah. And he needs money. He's got a kid. He's got a son who's just recently been killed by a gangster or something like that. It's just like this series of unfortunate events that have happened to this guy. And so he obviously has to go back into the life so that he can get some money. So that is the basic premise.
Can I just make one observation?
Please.
In script writing, the easiest way to get someone to go back into a life of crime is either they're going to lose custody of their child or a family member is in the hospital and the medical bills are overwhelming, right?
Exactly. That's exactly it. Those are the two easiest ways to go back into crime. Or to enter crime if you've never been in crime.
And it's always like, well, I don't want to do this, but Grandpa needs his medication, so I'm going to have to.
I don't want to do this, but my wife was kidnapped by the local crime lord.
Yeah.
In any case, let me cut a long story short. This is awful.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, this is supposed to be like a heist show / criminal show, thriller. It's something that would normally be right up my alley. Giancarlo is an awesome actor.
It's on Netflix?
This is on Netflix, and it's horrendous. I mean, horrendous doesn't even begin to describe how bad this show is. So it is, I'll tell you what the problem is. I was thinking a lot about this, and I know exactly what the problem is. The problem is that this show is trying really hard, in fact, a bit too hard, to be cool and suave and like a film noir show.
Yeah.
But it comes off as cheap and super cheesy. Like, he gives these long, elaborate pauses, and he's just like, almost as if he's staring into the camera and giving a monologue about why he's in this terrible position and why, life around him sucks and things like this. It's just not good. And this is for the second time ever and second time consecutively where I did not want to finish the second episode. That's how bad this was.
Yikes.
Right? Like,
you're getting
and
screwed.
I came this close to breaking our rules on Stream or Skip and not finishing it. It's just awful.
Oh, man, that's horrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's just not engaging. It moves as slow as molasses and tastes just as bitter.
I wonder how long you thought of that. Let me tell you what one of my dreams is. I would love to see kind of like this before and after, like candid review from actors when they're like filming a series and they're like, man, I think we've got lightning in a bottle here. I think this is going to be amazing. And then after it's released, they're like, oh man, like I was
what was
so
I
wrong.
thinking?
Yeah. Or I want to hear them be like, this is a train wreck. I only did this because my grandpa's in the hospital and I've got to pay the bill, right? Like, I never should have taken this script. My agent talked me into it. I'm going to fire him. Or like, I did this as a favor to this person, or I've been blackmailed and I had to do this. Like, this is god awful. I know it.
This is like the Nicolas Cage, right? He's like, he owes billions to the IRS, and he's like, well, I'll do anything and everything to pay it off now.
Yeah, but I'd love to get like a candid in terms of how the actor thinks it's going versus how it actually went,
Yeah. Funnily enough, I just saw an interview this last week with Bryan Cranston where he says that he has a scoring system that he uses to determine if he will ever join a cast.
Huh.
Regardless of how... So one of those factors is obviously going to be money. The other factor is the director, then the script, then the other co-actors, and so forth.
Yeah.
So he has a system, and if it clears a minimum score requirement, he'll do it, right? So he was talking about like his highest score system was Trumbo, I think, or one other movie, right? Argo and Trumbo. He said were two of his highest ones because he's like, the director was good, the story was fantastic, my role was good, the actors were good, so it was good, and those were good movies. And he was talking about like his lowest scoring one was Why Him? That comedy he did where like Ashton Kutcher marries his daughter or something.
No, it's not Ashton Kutcher. It's Franco. It's James Franco.
Oh, right. Something like that. So you know what I mean? It's just, and I was just like, I wonder if he's capped the weighting where they're just like, okay, we know it's awful, but we'll pay you $20 million over scale to do this.
He's like,
and that just weights it the other direction.
He's like, the score has to add up to 20 million, right? And like that, it's all zeros except for like the fee was like 20, right?
Yeah, it's like, all zeros, and then he's just like, okay, well, fine. I mean, you're paying me so much, I don't care how bad this movie is, I'll do it.
That I saw, man, how many minutes of that movie? Definitely not the whole thing, and it was like train wreck from like the opening scene, right? And that would be a good example of like to get like Cranston and like like that they used to have it for like MTV where they'd like go into like that secret room and video and stuff like like the confessional, right? And he'd be like, this is even worse than I expected, right?
Day 2 of shooting and I want to shoot myself.
or if like James Franco is like, I think this is going really well, like that's a horrible movie.
Oh my god. Anyway, horrible movie. Parish, skip. By all means, skip it. It's not worth your time. It's only 6 episodes. It's only a miniseries, but like it's just not good.
I want to say I think that's a Netflix problem. Time and time again, we've seen that.
Funnily enough, this was done by AMC. Netflix just licensed it. So this was actually
really?
a Sony problem.
Oh, that's even weirder. Maybe not weirder, but Netflix is known for that. I mean, I can't remember what maybe Stranger Things or Umbrella Academy are the only things that we've really liked on Netflix. But everything else they have, like all their movies, are just kind of like rubbish.
But, they've done things like they did House of Cards. They did a few really good shows. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a long time ago. Yeah. Do you know what I've recently seen? On Netflix, there's something called Hulk Hogan Real American.
Right.
Which is a 4-part, I guess it's like a documentary. I watched it. I was just like screwing around, like walking on the treadmill, and I just needed something to occupy my time. And I turned that on. And I have to say, I watched all 4 episodes. It is nearly a must subscribe, kind of for our generation. A few observations about it. One, Hulk Hogan died.
I think it was news. I don't know if it's a spoiler, but it shouldn't be.
There's a lot of celebrities in the world, and to be honest, it's hard to keep up with all the celebrity news, especially he's a little bit out of the spotlight, right?
That's true.
He's not. And when it happened in the 4th episode, because they're interviewing him, and he only passed away actually 3 months after they filmed his interviews for Netflix.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, only 3 months later. He died at 71. And in the last episode, probably in the last 20 minutes, like they announced his death and then they re-interviewed everybody who had been interviewing, talking about him. I was as surprised as anybody else. I was like, he died? Like, what a dramatic ending to this. And then I was kind of thinking, I'm like, yeah, I felt like I heard about that last year, but it just didn't resonate with me because he was 71, right? I mean, he wasn't like in his prime of his life anymore that it made like this huge news. I think it was.
Yeah, and I think it's also that generation lived a hard life. And by that, I don't mean he went through trials and tribulations, which I'm sure he did. But like,
oh my gosh,
he was on steroids and drugs and all that. And I'm sure it was a part of some of that commentary, right?
Yeah, he talked about it. I mean, there's a few observations about the guy. I mean, you and I kind of grew up in the 80s. And he was a big figure in the 80s, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and beyond, right? I mean, he wrestled for like 40 years and he kept reinventing himself. But I mean, he was widely credited, even by like all his contemporaries who they interviewed. I mean, the Vince McMahons and all his other like, co-stars in the 80s and even the modern wrestlers, from WWE today. I mean, they've all cited him as, if it weren't for this guy, we probably wouldn't have jobs.
Yeah.
Like he single-handedly dragged something that was at best a kind of circus side act that wasn't taken at all seriously into something that is, globally popular, phenomenally popular, spun off, so many huge stars and stuff. But he was widely credited for that. They had a lot of footage. They interviewed his kids and his ex-wife. He is really, really a remarkable guy, not without some faults. But, I mean, he was widely credited as actually a super, super good, father and, to be honest, not a terribly bad husband. And, just someone who really just, like, was great with, like, children with determination, right? The Ronald McDonald houses and all the, like, disabled kids. Like, apparently he was just, like, phenomenal with them. So yeah, that's a 4-part Netflix series, and because WWE has a big presence on Netflix now, right? They've got like Monday Night Raw or something.
Yeah, they bought the license just this year.
So I think this was a part of it, but it was filmed before his death because they did this really interesting segue where they finished with him. And he was like, summarizing his career and, like the sad music in the background and blah, blah, blah. He's like, I hope I'm remembered like this. And then they were, like how when they interview someone sitting in a chair, they're kind of like, okay, well, that's it. but then they kind of still keep recording and filming, right? Even when the quote-unquote interview is done. He's like, okay, so you got everything you need here. They're like, yeah, I think so. He's like, we just got to, finish up a few edits. And you're like, look, if we're missing anything, we'll be in touch in like 2 to 3 months. He's like, okay, thanks, brother, blah, 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 blah. And he leaves, right? And he said literally like 2 to 3 months later. And then it showed on the screen, it said 3 months later. And then it went into his passing. So the interview was like very, very close to the timing of his death. And then obviously they re-interviewed everybody else, who they had been talking to about, his influence on wrestling, what kind of person he was. And then everyone was just like tears, just, waterfall. I mean, it was just so emotional, like what everyone, thought of him. And, when you're getting an interview about someone for a documentary, I mean, of course, like it's very emotional, but like after he passed, like everyone was just like a wreck. It was really powerful, I have to say. So I don't think it's a must subscribe unless you're a massive wrestling fan or a Hulk fan. But for anyone who kind of knew him and wanted to know a little bit more about his life and the impact that he had, super interesting guy. That is Hulk Hogan, A Real American on Netflix, which just kind of came out recently.
Right.
He died in July 2025, so less than a year ago, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all I've got on Streamer Skip.
That's it. Why don't
All
we
right.
talk about what we're being assigned for next week?
Give it a go. What do we have?
So I've got something surprising for you. Next week,
Oh.
you are on Disney Plus, and you are watching something that's a part of the MCU. You're watching Wonder Man.
All right. What do you have?
And I am on Peacock watching a show called Ponies.
I feel like I've seen something for this, but I can't place it.
Yeah, it's based in the 70s. It's in Russia, but like I think it's
Oh, yeah.
CIA thriller kind of thing. So I'll find out. I'll let you know what it is.
Okay. Pete, before we sign off on Streamer Skip for today, can you remind everyone of our YouTube, other social media cred?
All right, so like this video, leave a comment below, subscribe to our channel, and do not forget to hit that notification bell so that you know when the next episode of the Films and Stuff podcast drops for you.
Could not have said it better myself. Pete, thank you as always for being the MVP. Listeners, thank you for tuning in. We shall see you next episode next week on the Films and Stuff podcast. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, everyone.
Bye now.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.